Shit, it already started. What's up, everybody? Evan here for Grips.com, continuing with Project Get Me Stacking. Today, we're going to field a double question, and the idea of today's broadcast is teaching you how to help you help yourself. Let's get straight into the question. First one from my man Rasmus. Hi, Evan. First, I really enjoy your videos and appreciate the time and effort you put into making them. My request is, if you could make a video about what good books there are written about poker and which to read. I've only been playing poker for a few years, but never read a poker book. Which one should I buy? Good question, right? Let's get on to part two of the question from Nicholas. And it's interesting, both these guys are from Denmark. It's like the Danes know how to study or something. Maybe that's why they're so smart over there. Hey man, a lot of love all the way from Denmark. Just wanting you to know I really appreciate all your videos and that I have a single question. Funny thing is, there are 3 question marks in this question. Which poker books do you prefer? I mean in all kinds of categories, theory, math, basics, etc. The cost of the books isn't really an issue. The only book I've heard you recommend was on a psychological point of view and was The Mental Game of Poker, which is a really fantastic book. Sorry for my terrible English, but I'm sure you'll understand what I'm asking. Looking forward to hearing from you. Regards, Nicholas. And guys, I gotta say, I love this question. I love this question. Because you demonstrated something when you asked this specific topic, rather than asking me, can you help me with this specific part of my game or that specific part of my game. You're like, can you teach me, point me in the right direction so I can help me help myself, Because when you're ready to go out and get a book on something, it shows that you have serious interest in that topic. And a book, unlike a video, is something where the amount of learning really all comes down to you. There's no one like force feeding you information. You work at the pace you want and you stop when you want to stop. You get to choose what topics you want to work on and when. You get to set a pace for your learning experience. And in many cases, you actually get to put like your own spin on your interpretation of the author's thoughts, making for a completely unique learning experience. This is why book clubs are really cool, because a lot of people can get different opinions on the same text, and then you put them together and people are like, whoa, I never thought of that. Whoa. And then they start thinking about more stuff, and it's really cool. So this video is going to be about helping you guys to help yourself. And to anyone who buys a book and actually spends the time reading the book, not just like, okay, I bought it, put it on the shelf when we're done with it. If you make notes, if you review, if you get to the point where you are actually able to explain what you've read, rather than just taking it in one eye and out the other, then I am very confident you will see an improvement in your results, and that will happen rather quickly. Anyway, let's get right into the presentation. And the sad thing is something like 90% of books that are purchased never get read. This is especially the case with self-help books and self-improvement books. When someone wants to learn or change something, but they aren't fully committed to it. People who buy a book, they buy a book to feel like they're taking themselves one step closer towards their goal, in this case of becoming a fantastic poker player. But buying, like the act of buying the book, becomes enough for people. They're like, well, I want to work on my game theory, so I bought a book on game theory. There, I've accomplished it, one step closer. Having it on the shelf makes people feel accomplished, and something like 90% of those books that are purchased for these reasons never make it off the bookshelf at home. And if they do, very rarely do they get read cover to cover. Most people will read 1 chapter, maybe 2, and feel like they've really accomplished something, when all they really did was scratch the surface. So, for your own peace of mind and for your wallet as well, I want you to take what I'm about to say really seriously, because it's only for your own interest. I don't want you to be wasting time or money, okay? Only go out and buy a book if you are set on getting through all the material. That's disclaimer number 1. Disclaimer number 2 builds on number 1, and that is, don't think that just by buying all the books listed in this video and flipping through them, that you will become a great poker player. It's a lot more than going through these books once, because going through a book once doesn't usually give you a full understanding of what was said in it. In fact, I would highly encourage only buying 2 books at a time and focusing on a specific topic and waiting until you feel that you have a really firm grasp on it before moving on to the next topic. Buying all 12 of the books that I'm about to mention in this video at once will feel somewhat overwhelming when they all arrive. You'll be like, holy shit, where do I start? And you may find it hard to stay focused on one since they all sound so interesting. And people always feel like they're learning a lot more when they read the intro of a book, intro of a book, intro of a book, and they're getting info about all these new topics rather than going really deep into one specific topic, because that's when reading starts to get hard. So ideally, buy 1 book at a time, maybe 2 if you want to save on shipping. But if you're going to buy all 12 books, then I would really suggest that you set up an attack plan for which books you will read when, so that you can get through all your material in a reasonable time frame. If you don't have an attack plan and you have a ton of content to try to get through, it's just not going to happen. And that's why I would say it's better to just pick 2. And it's going to probably take you a couple weeks, maybe a month to get through these books. So it's not like you're wasting any time if you have to get more shipping. Anyway, enough with the disclaimers, on to the books. I just want to make sure you get the most out of your learning experience, because I know I've made these mistakes in the past, and not only does it waste time, it wastes a lot of space on your bookshelf. So, starting point, if you're like totally new to the game and you want to get a good foundation, Theory of Poker and No Limit Hold'em Theory and Practice, both by David Sklansky, are fantastic reads. The first book I ever read was Theory of Poker, and I think the most influential book I ever read for my cash games was No Limit Hold'em Theory and Practice. The information in these books, it may have been written 10 years ago, but for the most part, it's still relevant. The trends in the game are going to change, but the general theory and the underlying theory and reasoning behind a lot of the plays is always going to be consistent. So these books may be old, but they are still fantastic. Okay, now if you're more interested in playing 6 max and you want to play the online cash games and know what it takes to compete in them, I would recommend the Harrington on Cash Games books. The first MTT books I read in my career were Harrington on Hold'em, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And I gotta say that Dan Harrington does a great job of writing. He formats his books very well, really easy to digest, really easy to understand format of book. So I strongly recommend his books. Very easy to understand, very easy to get through, and you'll learn in a very efficient manner the concepts required, the tactics you need to really compete in online 6 max cash games. Now, there are a lot of books out there written on multi-table tournaments. A lot written by the old school guys like TJ Cloutier, Tom McAvoy, Phil Hellmuth, even Negreanu's got some tourney books. I know Jonathan Duhamel's got a book on tournaments. It seems like anyone who's won a tournament decided, well, hey, I'm going to write a book on it. But in my opinion, a lot of these books, they're just kind of wishy-washy. They have a big name pro on the cover, but that doesn't mean the information in them is really comprehensive. Not saying it's bad information. There's definitely a lot of solid information in these books, but they don't cover the full spectrum of what you need to know to really do well in tournaments. So, in my opinion, the ones with the most information and the most relevant content are from the Kill Phil series by Lee Nelson and Tyson Stride. So the first book was called Kill Phil, the second one is called Kill Everyone, and the third one is called The Razor's Edge, with some feature pieces by Elke. These books not only contain great info for multi-table tournaments, but they also look a lot into sit-and-go play and satellite tournament play. So if you can get through these books, if you want to go all out, get all 3. I went through the second 2 and I felt that was enough. And if you can get through them, it will make you a very well-rounded and dangerous tournament player. Okay, moving on to game theory, which I know is a hot topic these days. If you want to learn a style that is near impossible to counter, if implemented correctly, your go-to books are going to be A, The Intelligent Poker Player by Philip Newell. This is kind of like an introductory approach to the game theoretical way to approach poker. Easy to understand, simple, makes sense. Now, if you want to get into the dense, calculus-ridden, nitty-gritty, everything you ever wanted to know about game theory kind of book, you're looking for Mathematics of Poker by Bill Chen and Jared Aikenman. Now, this book is a very dense read, especially if you don't have a calculus background. So even if you want to do game theory, I wouldn't recommend this to be your first book because it's a very tough read. But if that's something you're passionate about and you've warmed up with maybe The Intelligent Poker Player or some other game theoretical related books, then Mathematics of Poker, it's a challenge you can definitely take on. If you're a live player, tells are worth studying. The original blueprint is great. Mike Caro's Book of Tells has like 30 or 40 tells, all of which are still true to this day. He even has like a percentage of how reliable a tell is, which I think is really cool. And lots of pictures, a really fun read, and really easy to get through. And then if you want to take it to the next level, get a bit more into the psychology of things rather than simply the body language, there's a great book by Phil Hellmuth and former FBI agent Joe Navarro, who you may recognize from ESPN's WSOP broadcast. He does those segments where they break down the tells on players during a hand. Both of these books have really great information. They are a very dynamic 1-2 punch if you have them both. And finally, for mindset and psychology, which I think is a really important yet frequently overlooked element of the game, Jared Tendler's books called The Mental Game of Poker and The Mental Game of Poker 2 are fantastic reads. They are also available in audiobook format, so you can listen to them while you're going for walks or while you're playing live, and it's a very good way to keep yourself in the zone. If you want advanced material, this is your intro stuff. This is your intro books. You get through these, you're gonna be pretty strong. But if you want advanced material, there are some books on the market written by online players. Some examples are The Blue Book and Let There Be Range and The Poker Blueprint, and there's just tons of them out there. But I think most of that information can be found in videos and forums and much more cost efficiently. The books written by the online guys, in my opinion, are fairly overpriced unless you torrent them for free. And honestly, if you knew all the material in the 12 books mentioned here on this slide, you'll probably have already figured out most of the advanced concepts that these other guys preach in their books before even glancing over their table of contents. And that reminds me of something. I really would recommend buying these books in paper book format, hardcover, softcover, whatever, rather than getting the online version, because if you can highlight and write notes in the margin of a book, you're going to get a lot more out of it than if you're just scrolling through a screen. So it's really easy and efficient to download to your Kindle or to download to your iPad and read it from there. If you want to get the most out of your learning experience, that ability to flip through a page, fold the page over to mark it down, to check it again, or to be able to put post-it notes in the book is just so much better of a learning experience. It's a much purer learning experience than doing it electronically. So if you have the space in your apartment to hold a few books, I would really recommend buying these actual solid books that you can hold rather than the e-reader versions. Okay, now the great thing about anyone taking this approach to learning is that once you find the topic or sect of the game that really interests you most, it's easy to find more sources of information to get deeper into that topic. Many sites will have related book sections, and many of the others have more books beyond these ones. Many of the authors, have more books beyond these ones. So once you find a topic or someone's writing style that really jibes with you, you can further your knowledge by moving on to the next text. And as I've said before, I think it's important to have more than one learning source, but books are definitely the best starting point since they lead to creating a very strong and grounded foundation. I want to say good luck to everyone who's taking on the Poker Book Challenge. I think you'll be very happy with the results to come a few weeks from your starting point, because once you actually crack that book and once you actually get to the 3rd chapter, the 5th chapter, the 12th chapter, and you really start to get deep, you're going to have a really good understanding. You're going to be committed, and you're going to be serious about it, and things are just going to start to make more sense. And all these things you've seen in videos or you've done in play or your friends have told you about, they're going to start to make more sense because now you have a reference point for them. You have some theory to go with the actual actions that people have been taking, and things just start to click. And the more books you read, you know, this clicks, and then this clicks, and then this clicks, and this clicks, and then just magic starts happening. So really, again, big thank you for this question, because I think it's fantastic, and I think a lot of people are going to benefit from it. Anyone who actually takes action after watching this video and finds the book that really works for them, go for it. And just because you're a total beginner, don't feel like you have to start with the introductory theory. If you're a beginner but you know tournaments are what you want to learn, go straight to the tournament books. If you really just want to know how to read people, go straight to the reading people section. It's always good to eventually get that solid theory down, but it doesn't mean it necessarily has to be your starting point. Okay, so guys, if you have any questions for Project Get Me Stacking, please send them on over to evan@grips.com. Hopefully I can answer your question and help you get stacking. If you are enjoying the Get Me Stacking series, you're finding it's helping your game and you want to be on the leading edge every time a new video is released, please show your support and subscribe to the channel below. Seeing that count goes up just makes me motivated to make more and more videos, and I appreciate everyone who has shown their support so far. Next, please leave your comments on this video. Whatever you have to say about books, whatever you have to say about study methods for books, please let us know in the comment section. And when you get through a book that you read, if you want to write a little review of it, post it in the comment section of this video, because I know a lot of people are going to be coming here to figure out which books to read, and if they hear positive feedback or negative feedback about books, it's going to help them in their decision. You know, maybe say what one book really helped you with specifically, or what book covers some nice topics but maybe misses out on some other stuff. And then we can try to figure out which books we can add to this list to supplement and fill in the hole, so we can have like a really comprehensive curriculum of material that you guys can study on your own. And I'm pretty sure that is going to do it for me. I hope you found the video insightful and informative. This has been Evan for grips.com. Happy reading, and peace out.